In 1996, Don Steele was appointed Busway Project Director, and the journey began.
Essentially what I was given first day when I reported to Les Ford, who was my Executive Director and the Program Manager for the project, he gave me a brief rundown on the background to the project. Essentially we had a line on a map which linked inner city Brisbane down to the south-east corridor. What we did have was a budget which had been approved by the government of the day. We were given the position that we had to deliver this project within 5 years within that budget, and we really had to sort out the rest, the quality of the infrastructure, for which there was really no real guideline. I mean, there were no design standards, there were no construction practices that had been established for this sort of facility in the Australian environment. So it was really very much a learning curve for us.
Don put together a project team that set about engaging the community in a major consultation process that played a vital role in determining actual outcomes.
We engaged in a very significant program of community consultation. In fact, probably more correctly, community involvement. In fact, it was very much through that process that we were able to develop an awful lot of the if you like, the ideas that were transformed into the busway stations, for example. The things that we found that the community valued were things like security, safety, accessibility, transparency around stations, for example, was something that we found to be critically important to them. And in retrospect, it's fairly obvious, but it was something that we actually did find out from the community. They really did add value to the process of our planning. We rated our success or the success of the project very heavily on how well we were perceived in the local community. And needless to say, in a project of the length that we had, and I think we had 2,300 next-door neighbours in terms of residents, businesses and the like, institutions, clearly we weren't going to have 100% support in that regard, but I'm delighted to say that I guess across the length of the project we may have had a dozen or so who probably felt aggrieved at our activities, but we also received a lot of support down through the project.
We put special efforts into community consultation because, again, by and large, this was a project that was meant to serve the community. If the community weren't happy about the project during its construction, there was a real likelihood that they would not accept it in its operational phase. So our efforts were not only to mitigate the construction impact on the community adjacent to the corridor, but also to set the scene for their interest in the project and indeed for their future use of the project. So we spent a lot of our time actually promoting what this project would do for their community. And it was very early on after the commissioning of the project that the first indications about the positive impacts of this project on land valuations adjacent to the busway became apparent, and were greeted with quite a warm response by the community so affected.
Did consultation really improve the project outcomes? Project engineer Jürgen Pazietsny says absolutely.
We got a better project out of consultation, for sure, certainly with things we hadn't thought of. Engineers generally tend to turn up on a project with solutions, and one of the things I learned on this project, because there were so many opportunities with people's input into the project, was that from an engineering point of view you had to learn to be quiet for the first 2 or 3 meetings with stakeholders and really understand their problem before you put the solutions forward. I mean, we have got things that we've designed that we've added in extra along the way that either gave us better access opportunities, better usability of the busway. We've got some extra turnarounds. There are conservation groups who have patches alongside us, neighbours in the busway, who had solutions that were better than we thought of. So they worked out being a better busway in the end from that consultation.